You are out of your mind if Bob Bradley's not on your top 4. That's all I'm going to say. You are out.
Okay. I might be out of my mind
insane.
now.
We're going to get into a Mount Rushmore of MLS coaches all time. Who should be on that wall? Who are the 4 names? Should Greg Vanney be one of those now that he's won 2 different MLS Cups? Let's take a look at his resume just to tee it up. So 2017 MLS Cup champion, Supporters Shield winner with Toronto FC. First coach in MLS history to win the domestic treble, though we could argue it's relatively easy to win the Canadian Cup, or easier than winning the US Open Cup. 2018, I'm just throwing that in there. 2018 CONCACAF Champions League finalist, won the MLS Cup with 2024 with LA Galaxy, won MLS Coach of the Year as well with Toronto FC. He's not on my Mount Rushmore, but he could get into the conversation as his career goes on and the more championships that he accrues. Charlie, coming to you first. Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Okay, first off,
and explain
I see some people in there. Ben Olsen, Patrick, come on, let's be real. Peter Novak, also, let's be real. I love Peter, but not Mount Rushmore. All right, so
Ben Olsen apparently.
etched in stone. Bruce Arena, right? The first one.
Hands down.
George Washington. Okay. Mount Rushmore.
He's George Washington. He's number 1.
And I mean, his regular season wins speak for itself. His postseason wins speak for itself, and then his championships, right? So he
won
leads
the
all
first
categories.
2 MLS Cups. Yeah,
and he won in what the 3 with LA Galaxy. So DC, LA Galaxy, and then I'll throw this caveat: Supporter Shield with the New England Revolution in 2021. Not easy. And not only Supporter Shield,
might have been his best work.
Yeah,
might have been his best work, actually.
Best record of all time, right? So we're talking different generations, different players, different budgets.
Still winning.
So
still success.
Number 1 by a mile. Okay.
By a mile.
Here we go.
Number 2.
Ziggy Schmidt.
Ooh, I like that. I'm in. I'm on board.
2 MLS Cups, 3 Supporter Shields, 2 Coach of the Year, and Coach of the Year doesn't really mean all that much when you're talking about Mount Rushmore, but it just throws in.
It does.
I also want to throw in.
Have any? That'd be weird. You have to win.
He's second in regular season wins with 240, and second with postseason wins in 26. So I think that's a guarantee, right? For those 2. The third one, Bob Bradley. I know he only has 1 MLS Cup compared to some of the others, and one supporter shield.
That's right.
With LAFC though, different time. I look at some of the coaches that came out after him, Noonan, Jesse Marsh, but this is a coach who is dialed in. I mean, he's 194 regular season wins. He's got 15 postseason wins. So there are other metrics that back him up for being on Mount Rushmore. And might add, there's not too much depth after 2, right? And Bob, I think, is absolutely deserving of that. Now, 4, it's between Schmetzer and Kinnear, and I went with Kinnear in this one. And Yalop has the right to. I mean, Yalop has 2 MLS Cups, and 1 Supporter Shield. But I went Dom Kinnear, 2 MLS Cups, 1 Supporter Shield. That is my Mount Rushmore. Now, that 4th can change real quick. And I think Greg Vanney's really pushing to get up there sooner than later. You can't forget about, Cherundolo, if he's able to continue to win and win another MLS Cup. He's been to 2 finals.
Wilfred Nancy could be in there at some point.
Absolutely, Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah.
And who knows if Berhalter has this crazy run with the Chicago Fire and can turn things around. But for me, those are the 4.
All right.
Peter Vermees, he's got 203 wins, but
all right,
I just don't know. I don't think he makes Mount Rushmore for me.
Okay, so I'm next. All right, so first and foremost, I got Bruce Arena for all the reasons that you mentioned. And then when you tack on the success he had with the U.S. men's national team, getting us to a quarterfinal, our furthest ever, that just adds volumes to him being the best American coach we've ever had on the men's side. Okay, and then second, I got Ziggy Schmidt. Now, there's one thing I want to add with Ziggy Schmidt. Now, before, when early MLS got started, there was only a couple colleges that I thought were producing, were factories for professional players.
Go.
No, listen. We're talking Brad Friedel.
Don't bring up college. I don't want to hear college.
But listen,
I don't want to hear college.
I think it matters.
Why wouldn't you bring it up?
I don't want to hear college.
No, but he created an environment that fostered a professional mentality, which is obviously proven by him being a professional coach at some point. And then,
so Sasha Sharovsky should be on the Mount Rushmore by that standard.
No, because he didn't coach at MLS. So I'm just adding another layer to why Ziggy should be on Mount Rushmore.
Okay,
that's
add
all.
layers. All right.
But you got Brad Friedel, Joe Max Moore, Kobe Jones, Paul Caligieri, Paul Crumpy. These guys were all pivotal in helping grow the game, and we're standing on their shoulders as to why MLS is where it is. Then you add in players that he brought in: Bocanegra, Nick Raimondo, myself, though I was a walk-on, he didn't recruit me. and then, but you have like Greg Vanney, right? Who played for him for 3 years at UCLA, but now had a successful career and now is going on to be a successful coach. Eddie Lewis is doing some great things behind the scenes with this Toka stuff. There's so many tethers to that, and Virginia would be another one. Bruce was, and where Tony came out of. And so anyway, I just want to give a shout out to Ziggy and Bruce for creating these environments at the college level that were really early academies in some ways, because those academies didn't exist in early MLS. Okay. And then third, I got Bob Bradley. I'm with you on him. I think what's interesting too, and maybe what separates him from the rest, is that he won the double with Chicago Fire. Like, he's the expansion coach master. He won the double in his first year. It's the first time
100%. Chivas USA. He was
Chivas
fantastic.
USA. He won Coach of the Year with them, got them into the playoffs, made them competitive. Like, Bob knows what he's doing. And those are all different eras. Like in 98, that's when he won the double with Chicago Fire, the Open Cup and MLS Cup. And then in 2006, he won Coach of the Year and got Chivas into the playoffs. And then he 2019 with LAFC got Supporters Shield. Like, there's a consistency to that's over a 21-year span. So I think Bob should be on there.
You might as well throw the U.S. men's national team in there too. Get into a Confederations Cup final. Like that.
Agreed.
That's legit. You beat Spain, who won a World Cup. I don't care.
You won we won a group for 2010 as well. The first time we've ever won a World Cup group.
100%. Right? And we won World Cup qualifying. So from that standpoint, there's only probably 3 names that could even think about doing that in terms of MLS coaches.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to continue to give a little bit of more love for Bob for these little things that maybe get unnoticed during his career. And then lastly, and I think Big Tones might be the only one that agrees with me on this.
By the way,
when I think about,
you are out of your mind if Bob Bradley's not on your top 4. That's all I'm going to say. You are out.
I might be out of my mind
insane.
now.
Okay, wait, let's not bury anything here. I still got my 4th pick. So I think with regard to when I think about Mount Rushmore, I think about people that help build soccer in this country, and maybe that doesn't fit the profile of what this ask is, and just it's like MLS only. And I've added some other areas of college and national team or whatever, but I have Bob Gansler as my 4th. That guy was taking responsibility and coaching players at the national team level, U20s, U19s for so long in the 70s and 80s. Really tough period when there's no NASL and no MLS, and still trying to do stuff with the Milwaukee Rampage and the A-League and trying to create good environments for players. I'm biased because I played for the guy and I had a lot of success when I was playing for him. Being Big Tones both played for him. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. 1990, he led our team to the World Cup in Italy, which was obviously a pivotal moment for U.S. soccer and allowed us to host the World Cup in 94. And I just wanted to give Bob a shout out. Whether he deserves to be in the MLS, maybe, he only coached 6 or 7 years in the league. He won an Open Cup in 2000.
I'd say
Open Cup
doesn't qualify.
MLS.
But
okay, that's fair.
right.
But I didn't want to not have him be part of the conversation.
No,
so
I completely agree with you on that. I'm happy that you acknowledge someone from the
I'm
past
acknowledging Bob Gansler.
Right.
Shout out to
Bob. It's like acknowledging Glenn Mooch Marinek, right?
I miss Mooch. Yeah. Rest in peace. All right, let's go to Big Tones.
So I took mine from a different angle, right? I took mine maybe from the angle of winning championships, right? For me, if you haven't won, because we now have 7 coaches that have won multiple championships in this thing, that Greg Vanney now obviously included in that list, you couldn't be on my list. So Bob Bradley was out from that standpoint.
Woo!
My first, not to get too deep into Bruce and Ziggy, those were my 1 and 2. You guys have already kind of touched on everything that those guys have done. As a matter of fact, isn't the award now named after Ziggy, right? The MLS Coach of the Year award named after Ziggy. Yeah. My 3rd one was Brian Schmetzer for the job that he's done. When you talk about being involved in the city, in the culture. I mean, he is Mr. Seattle Sounder to me, and his teams are always. Greg Vanney's had multiple years in LA last year where things what were they 13th place. Guys
what
like
about
some of these guys
during the regular season? Does that not count?
Consistency does, yeah. And Brian Schmetzer's been consistent through the regular season with all of his teams, right? And always battling at the top of the Western Conference. And then my fourth one is Dominic Kinnear, because I think of all, and I'm kicking myself, Jimmy. I'm so glad you brought Bob Gansler in, because I've said time and time again, he is the guy in American soccer that gets the least credit for doing such a great job. But Dominic Kinnear, I struggled with the multiple guys because, this conversation comes with Greg Vanney winning his second. Dominic Kinnear, 5th in wins, 536 games as a head coach. Here was the kicker for me. Here is the kicker. He's now been an assistant coach for 3 years, right? And I know you don't get wins for assistant coach, but he's part of something that's in 107 games together with Pat Noonan. They've won 50 of those. They've only lost 25 of those. It's part of a supporter shield. And I've said time and time again, with all of these jobs opened up, I can't understand how Dominic Kinnear, he's been interviewed, doesn't get another job. But I wanted to make sure he got credit. But Charlie already had Dominic Kinnear on his list. So I thought I would be the only one to have Dom on the list, but I wasn't. And that's so I took it from that standpoint. You had to win multiple championships because now we've got 7 who have done that. Look, Bob Bradley, if you told me that you wanted, I think everyone agrees Bruce is number 1, right? Like that's everyone's number 1. If someone said, I'll put Bob Bradley number 2 for everything that he's done, yeah, no question about it. But I took it from the MLS angle because that was the assignment.
Not even top 4 in MLS?
Bob Bradley?
Yeah.
Well, I just gave you my list.
I know, but I'm saying
not top 4.
In terms of regular season wins and postseason wins and
Bob is tied with Dominic on postseason wins. I told you my criteria was to start. You had to win multiple MLS Cups because now we have a bunch of guys who have done it. Bruce obviously with 5, and there's a bunch of guys: Yallop, Dom, Caleb Porter, Schmetzer, Vanney now, and Ziggy who have won it.
I don't know what Bob did to you, Tony. This is just
I love Bob.
incredible.
What are you crazy? I think Bob should be on the front of everyone's list. Don't make stuff up. I'm telling you how
he's a Jersey guy, Tony. How can you leave him out?
So by your math, you have Caleb Porter above Bob.
Hey, exactly. Hey, Jimmy.
No,
exactly.
No, I don't. No, I really don't. Just so you know. By the way, when we do this, we got to know that Charlie's list should be like CBS Paramount Plus's list, and everyone else's list is just no good because it's not Charlie's list.
I just can't for my life of me think of Bob not in the top 4.
Right. And I can't for the life of me think of how Schmetzer is not in anyone's top 4 or somebody else. That's how we look at it. Right. So, I look at it.
I'll raise my hand and say that I had bias because I played for the 4 coaches that I nominated. I didn't get to play for Schmetzer. I hear only great things about Schmetzer, but I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Those high pressure situations with those guys to know how they solve problems and how they manage teams and how they build teams. I didn't get to really experience that. So that's why Schmetzer was a little bit on the outside for me, despite my utmost respect and admiration for what he's accomplished with the Sounders.
Yeah, I think Schmetzer that was tough to leave Schmetzer off. And it was going between Dom and Schmetzer. And I think for Schmetzer,
I played for Dom as well. Yeah, Dom's great.
For me, it's the regular season inconsistency because he does get his team to go towards the end, right? We always hear the story. Doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you finish regular season. And he has a knack for getting the Seattle Sounders to be playing at their best at the end of the season. And they ride that momentum and that wave right into an MLS Cup appearance, right? That's typically what happens. But when you watch Schmetzer's teams play through the more than half of the season, you're like, what the hell is this? And so just from that standpoint alone, it was tough for me to go, this guy is Mount Rushmore coach.
But if that's the criteria, like, quite honestly, you wouldn't put all of Bruce's teams in like the most beautiful playing style. DC United did for a little while, but there were times where like you watch it and go, what are they doing? Until you bring in all these great players. But You're judging him on winning in the end, right?
Well,
That's how you're judging him.
He did it in different eras with different teams.
Right. Yeah.
Which Schmetzer did not do. Schmetzer's been Seattle till he dies, and he's inherited.
But I don't want to penalize Schmetzer because he's Seattle till he dies, right?
You can't compare Bruce Arena and Schmetzer. Like there's no comparison.